Hello Eagles, Wayne Granger here, Executive Director of Operations and Finance, here to give an update about some school lunch program options. I committed to our families to looking into this. Unfortunately, with this whole new statewide school lunch program, things are moving quite slowly, but I believe we may have some options here. And so I want to be able to update with our families what those options would look like, and try and gauge some interest to see if we need to figure out how to make this happen. So just a quick reminder about our school lunch program. So the program is USDA approved, meaning the menu has to meet their requirements, which is what our current school lunch program does. And our service is built off of that menu. There's two different differences here in terms of alternatives to that menu. One is what's called a restriction. So a restriction is when dietary needs need to be changed due to a medical condition. So this is someone that has an allergy that is unsafe, or they have a medical condition that requires an alternative option. And we already deal with those. USDA program handles restrictions. The next option is called preferences. So this is when the requests for a change in diet are due to preference, not medical necessity. So this is, for example, someone who has certain preferences for meals due to perhaps religious reasons, or due to a lifestyle choice in terms of maybe they want a plant-based or something else. The USDA does not see that as medically necessary, and so it's not included in the program. So that's why we've been slightly off with doing this program, is because we were dealing with preferences for the most part and not restrictions, and we had to get some options on the table. So with what we currently have, the vegetarian meals are considered a preference, and so getting to this point has taken us a little bit to work with My Kids Lunch to see what other alternatives they have. We're not the only school that's asking for this, and so we think we have some choices. As the current plan sits, so currently if you go on the My Kids Lunch and look at their menus, you have a 30-day cycle. It's not specific to dates unless you're looking at their actual December menu or something like that. As that 30-day cycle currently sits, there are already 8 vegetarian meals. I'm going to point out how we can see these, and we're going to work to make our information here easier to see. By eliminating the meat protein on some other meals, another 8 are available. And I'm going to show you what that would look like. So this means that right now, as it sits, this 30-day cycle already has about 16 meals that are readily available as vegetarian, as long as you know what you're looking for. This does not mean, though, that they will substitute some other protein or make larger portions for the others to make up for leaving off of meat protein. So the USDA cycle is built as it is. It is intended to be the proper amount of protein and carbohydrates and fat and salt and everything else as it sits. If we choose to remove a meat protein, that just comes off of the menu and there is not a replacement item for it. So just make sure to understand that's the description I was given as to what happens if you make 8 of those meals vegetarian by eliminating the meat. There is not another substitute, and that's just by the nature of this program. So here's, for example, this is the first 10 days of the cycle. So again, these numbers that you're seeing here are not the first, the second, third, whatever else, right? This is the first 10 days. So if you look at these two here, I've got highlighted in blue. These two on day 5 and day 8 are already vegetarian as they sit. So if you see these, and we're going to create this sheet for you to have reference to it, these are already vegetarian options as a full meal. Now, if you look at these next 3 down here that I've highlighted in red, by removing the meat protein in these days 6, 7, and 10 here, you can see that you're still left with a meal that is vegetarian. So in this case here, you'd still have a baked potato and cornbread and the cheese and the fruit. Here you still have mac and cheese and the carrots and fruit. And here you still have pancakes and hash browns and the fruit. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of how these blue ones are already vegetarian, and the ones in red, by removing the meat, your child can be to a vegetarian as well. So this 30-day menu that we're going to provide attached to this video is already got the meal options included so that you can look at that. Just make sure you know that those are not dates of a month, they're days in the cycle. You'll need to look at the menu each week for My Kids Lunch and then compare to this sheet on which of the meals coming up for that following week are going to be vegetarian so that you can order in advance. We've been getting better with the meal numbers as we've started to complete some cycles. So I appreciate everybody still doing that to help us by making that order in advance. Now, one thing that My Kids Lunch has the potential to do is look at a smaller vegetarian, gluten-free, or dairy-free type menu. But we have to gauge how much interest we have to know if we could offer it and make it logistically possible. So the logistics to be able to differentiate between the regular meals and these alternative meals is something we would have to then discuss once we know the level of demand. So right now this program is not live, but I need to find out from our community what kind of demand we have so that we can then work through the logistics on the back end. So this is what this alternative menu likes. Now this menu is only a 10-day cycle. And if you look at it, really it's an 8-day cycle because these last two on the days 5 and 10 are the same thing. It's this snack pack that's got the eggs and everything else in there. So really these 8 days are really the only cycles that we have. But if you look at it, they are specifically with the Beyond Beef or just bean chili. They're specifically designed to be vegetarian. They specifically call out when they've got gluten-free, dairy-free bread items, and making this another option for our families. So if we're interested in this, again, this is only a 10-day cycle, knowing those 2 of those days already have that sack lunch in there. If you're interested in this alternative, I need to find out the demand. So there is going to be a survey. And here is the links here. So I've got a QR code, so you might be able to use that right now. Or you can go to the link, which will also be included in the body of the email sending this out, to tell us how much interest we have. We need to know if we have enough interest within our community of who would use this program to know if we can work it out. Excuse me. So if you can, please fill out that interest survey so we can determine our next steps. Just reminders as we hit December and this kind of wind down to winter break or wind up, if you've got the kids that I'm sure are getting more excited. Just remember we have so much going on with concerts now in this time of year. Both boys and girls basketball is running right now, so there's games pretty much all the time between our middle school and high school clubs. We've got robotics and then some prospective parent nights coming up. Please make sure that you're helping spread the word about what amazing stuff we do here at Stargate to help us keep our school full, which helps us with everything else we have enrollment and taking care of it. One quick reminder that this Thursday night, Dr. Green and I are doing another parent coffee chat. That's at 5:30 at night in the secondary library. So that's the building right when you come in the main doors. And that is for the evening. We had a parent coffee in the morning last month. So we're trying to alternate to be available. And then just a reminder that Friday, December 22nd, there is no school. We have a staff day, but there are no students that day. That's all I have right now. Please, if you're interested in that program, please submit your interest so we can gauge it, and then I will give an update as we come back around. Have a great day.